Hari Om. Let's do with the 3 Oms and Sahana Avatu and Guru Stotra. Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Stotram. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkim Chissacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. Can you get some water from, maybe glass upstairs? So we have some people here. Okay, we are doing the 3rd chapter of Panchadasi. So we are doing at the 37th sloka. Vidyaranya trying to do the Panchakosha Viveka, where discriminating of the 5 Panchakoshas, the 5 koshas are 5 sheets: Annamaya, Pranamaya, the Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. And once you negate all that, and whatever that remaining is nothing but your own self, that is Atma. So the question is there anything remaining? It says yes. Because that's because of which you can see everything else and you can negate everything else, but it cannot be negated and it cannot be experienced because that is your own self. The self cannot be experienced, but it has to be understood. And it is beyond the desha, kala, vastu, parichinnatvam. It is beyond any limitations of space-wise, time-wise, or object-wise. And that is essentially is nothing but Brahman, because there is limitless consciousness existence, and that is what essentially in the sloka 36 we said, desha kalanya vastunam kalpitatva cha mayaya na deshadi Krutantasti Brahmanantya Sputam Tataha. So Desha Kala Anya Vastunam, all these limitations are coming from the Maya only, Kalpitatva, they are only created. So any space-wise limitation or object-wise limitation or time-wise limitation is coming from Maya. And that which is beyond any limitations, desha, adi, desha, kala, or the object, adi, etc., or beyond all that, kutaha antaha, that which is any limitless, that is beyond that, is Brahman, has to be understood. So how can that be? Because desha is limited and kala are also limited. Right? Desha means space is limited. Space, we think it is infinite, but space itself is not there in the deep sleep state. So it is get limited or negated in the deep sleep state, and therefore same way time-wise too, and all objects are also. But yet I am there. So my existence is beyond the desham and kalam and vastu, or the objects. So this is where we stopped. And let's start the sloka 37. Satyam jnanam anantam yat, satyam jnanam anantam yat, brahma tad vastu tasya tat, brahma tad vastu tasya tat, ishvaratvam ca jivatvam, ishvaratvam ca jivatvam, upadidvaya kalpitam, upadidvaya kalpitam. So satyam jnanam anantam yat, tad brahma vastu tasya tat. So that which is that which is satyam jnanam anantam, which is of the nature of existence, satyam, of the nature of knowledge, and which is infinite. This is a definition coming from the Taittiriya Upanishad, satyam jnanam anantam brahma. So that which is beyond any limitations of space-wise or time-wise or object-wise, that is anantam, and that is Brahman. Tad vastu, that is tasya tatu. You cannot define any other way. Even these are not definitions or qualities of Brahman, but these are pointers from which I can, looking from where I am, I can see that which is pure existence, pure knowledge, and infiniteness alone is the nature of that Brahman. Tasya tatu. So you cannot compare it with anything else because there is only one of a kind. So therefore, that incomparable, that is the absolute, and that is what it is. Now what is the Ishvara and what is Jiva? Here is defining. Ishvaratvam cha Jivatvam cha upadidvayam kalpitam. Even both Ishvara and Jiva are only creation, or only kalpitam, is only imaginary. Even the Lord is also imaginary. So what is Ishvara? Ishvara cha Jivatvam cha upadidvayam. There are two upadis. There are two upadi, means that which is the equipments, and these two equipments are different for Ishvara and for Jiva. For Ishvara, the equipment is Maya. So Maya Upadi is Ishvara. So Brahman taking the Maya Upadi is Ishvara, and Jiva is Brahman taking the Avidya as Upadi. Avidya means ignorance as Upadi. So ignorance, Brahman doesn't, Ishvara doesn't have ignorance. He is called Sarvajñaha. So when you go to upstairs and when they do Ashtotranama, he is Sarvajñaha, Sarvavyapakaha, Sarvashaktiman. So all the attributes that unlimited knowledge, unlimited, so he is not bound by Maya, and therefore he uses Maya for the creation. That's what Ishvara is. And Jiva is bound by Avidya, so same Maya, when it comes to the Jiva, we call it Avidya, ignorance, because it covers that I am the total. So there is avarana. Avarana means that which covers. Just as when I go to dream state, it covers that I am a waker. So I am sleeping in a very AC room, comfortably, Dunlop room. That is covered. And then I am projecting something. I may be in the hot sun and a bright sun and all in the forest somewhere else. So why? I have two contradictory things. One is AC room, comfortable, it is dark. At the same time, it is so bright in the dream. So this contradiction is because this avarana, the Nidra Shakti is part of Maya Shakti only, covers the truth, and therefore when it covers, then I project something I don't know as the real. That becomes a Jiva Srishti. So Ishvara and Jiva, Isha Jivayoho Veshadi Bida. That's what Ramana Maharshi says. Isha Jivayoho Veshadi Bida. Vesha is the costume that you are wearing is different, and Ishvara wears a costume of Maya and Jiva wears a costume of Avidya. So Isha Jivayoho Veshadi Bida Sattva Bhavato Vastu Kevalam. So what Ramana Maharshi says in the Upadeshasara. So it is Upadi Dvayam Kalpitam. This two upadhis, Maya Upadhi, Avidya Upadhi. Maya Upadhi is Ishvara Upadhi and Jiva Upadhi is Avidya. So is Ishvara there if you ask question? As long as you think Jiva, then Ishvara is there. Does Ishvara have a body? As long as you think you have a body, Ishvara also has a body. So all that is within the same realm of ontologically of the same degree of order. So as long as I take myself, I am this body, mind, intellect, and as long as I think I have a body, then he says Ishvara also has a body. When I understand that I am not the body and I am total, then Ishvara also becomes is not different from you. So it becomes one with you. So that has to be understood. So now he is talking about Maya Shakti in the 38th. Shaktirasyaishvari kachitu, Shaktirasyaishvari kachitu, Sarvavastu niyamika, Sarvavastu niyamika, Anandamaya marabhya, Anandamaya marabhya, Gudha sarveshu vastushu, Gudha sarveshu vastushu. Together. Shaktirasya Ishvari kachit, Sarvavastu niyamika, Anandamaya marabhya, Gudha sarveshu vastushu. So, Kachitu, Aishwari, Sarvavastu Niyamika. So that we cannot really explain or account how it cannot be explained, but it is fact that we can observe. What is that? Ishwari. Ishwari is that divine power, that is the goddess. Sarvavastu Niyamika. Niyam is the controller of all objects. So it says, where do I see the goddess? Wherever you see, wherever there is an order, there is controller, because order has to be maintained. And wherever there is an order, there is the Devi. So where is the order? Whole universe is nothing but order. So every matter that you take it, there is an order system. Because if you say this is iron, this is a gold, this is, if you go crystallographically, there is a fixed order. Every atom is sitting in equilibrium position and everything is ordered there. So what is that maintains that order? That is the Devi Shakti. You can say, oh, that is crystal forces and all that. But all forces are ultimately come from Maya Shakti. So that is personified as the Devi. So everything that a scientist studies is only forces that are there in the nature. Either gravitational force or electrical forces or any force that, for that matter, is only that which keeps the things operating. So the whole body is operating, the whole universe is operating, from the electrons, protons to all the way to the galaxies and all that. Everything is following certain laws and rules and forces, and anything that is we are only discovering, that means we are trying to find out what is there in the nature only. That which is not there in the nature, we cannot discover. So therefore, all Shakti is all essentially coming from that Shakti. And how is it manifesting in this form? We don't know. That it is manifesting is all we can say. So how is gravitational force is there? We don't know how gravitational force. All we know is two bodies attract. That's all we know. And we can determine what is the force of attraction. All that we can determine. But why and how we cannot say. It is so, that's all I can say. And we want to find out, and if we can use that power properly within the rules of the power also, then we can make use of it. So electrical forces or atomic forces, every force that you can think of, all potential energies converting into kinetic energies, all that is essentially nothing but it is Kachitu, inexplicable. Inexplicable means I can explain how that force is by discovering it, but I cannot explain why is it so. All I can say is how it is operating. So therefore, Kachitu, some inexplicable, Aishwari, that means the divine of the divine, Sarvavastu Niyamika. So it's a controller of all objects in that. And all these forces are resting in, because forces require a locus, and that is Ishvara. So Ishvara is recognized through its forces, because I cannot see Ishvara. So this Ishwari is the goddess. Through goddess only I can discover the Lord who has the locus. That's why in the Sri Vaishnavism, that's why you have to go through the Mahalakshmi to reach Lord Narayana. Otherwise you cannot approach Lord Narayana. Through this universe only I can recognize that which is beyond the universe. Through the mind only I can see that mind is also part of Ishwari. I am thinking. I am able to think. What capacity? That is a force. And what is that capacity to think? Capacity for knowing. All that is coming from the goddess only. We take things granted as though it is ours, but actually everything is operating because of that only. So these are all part of the Ishvara Srishti only. And in the next class when we talk about where is the Lord, this is how you have to recognize the Lord. So Shakti Rasyai Swari Kachitu Sarvavastu Niyamika. So all objects, Sarvavastu means everything that in this whole universe is operating and controlled by this. Anandamaya Marabhya Ghuda Sarveshu Vastutu. From the Anandamaya Arabhya, starting from Anandamaya, that means from the bliss sheath. That is Panchakoshas we are talking about. From the bliss sheath to Vijnanamaya, Manomaya, Annamaya, Pranamaya, all koshas are also being operating under this force only. Ghuda Sarveshu Vastutu. It is hidden, and say force cannot be seen. Force is hidden means if I move this place, this one to that one, how does it move? There has to be a force. So any change of state involves a force. But I cannot see the force. But the fact that there is a change of state involves there is a force applied. Otherwise things won't change. So everything that is occurring in the universe that is constantly flux, that's what is called Jagat. Jagat means Jayate Gacchate, that keeps continuously being born and dying. Born, that means continuous change, and that change involves a force. And therefore, Gudha, it is not completely evident. We don't know what is the cause for it. We can only deduce that there is a force from the effects only. So even Maya cannot be deduced. What is Maya? That because of which everything is operating, everything is controlling, and therefore says Gudha, it is essentially hidden as though Sarveshu Vastutu, in all objects it is there. And in what form it is there? In the form of existence, object is. And in form of its functions. For every object there is a utility, transactability, all that is because of the Ishwari, presence of the goddess in that. So if I want to recognize the goddess, immediately, so it means we should have a reverential attitude towards the creation. All that is only because we are dealing with the goddess. So whatever is because of that. So even in the dance also, before they start doing Bharatanatyam, they put Namaste to Bhumi. Says, I am going to step on you, please excuse me. And that's what that means we recognize that is also goddess there too. So here is describing the Shakti. Vastu dharmaniyam yerana 39 dharmaniyam yerana saktyanaiva yada tada saktyanaiva yada tada anyonya dharma sankaryad Anyonya dharma sankarya viplaveta jagat khalu. Viplaveta jagat khalu. Together. Vastu dharma niyam yerana sektya naiva yadha tada. Anyonya dharma sankaryad viplaveta jagat khalu. Vastu dharmaha. So Vastu Dharma means the qualities of all objects. So every object has certain properties, and because of properties only I can determine this object is different from that object. From its attributes only I can qualify. In fact, I can only see attributes. I don't see the Padartham. Padartham is the matter I don't see. All I see is I see the form and colors through the eyes. Eyes can only see the forms and colors. And that forms an image with all these attributes. And I say there is an object with these attributes. That is only my inference based on the attributes, because attributes cannot exist without a locus for it. So therefore all Vastu Dharma, all properties are all nothing but it is a niyam, it is a controller for that. So gold ring has its own property which is different from a bangle. So ring cannot become a bangle unless you melt it and do something else with it. So same way, each has a property, and each human being has his own property based on his mind, and so on and so forth. So everything has in this universe has dharma. So dharma is that which supports is dharma also. So what is that supporting the vastu? Vastu is that which is the object here. So what is that supports the object? And that supports the object is the very essence of the matter, substantive, that is the matter that supports. And even matter is not really real, but it's coming from the Lord himself, because he himself became many. That's what the scripture says. So we are investigating what is the matter that supports. You keep on looking, oh, it's electrons, protons, neutrons, and people are still inquiring what is the fundamental particle. And they said there is a God particle, recently they said. But God particle is discovered by who? By a conscious entity only. So consciousness is beyond even that also, that they don't recognize anyway. That Vastu Dharma niyam yeranam sektya naiva yadha tadha. So yadha sektya, by this maya power only, and it is essentially maintained. Naeva niyam yerana. And if this is not controlled by Shakti, then there is a mix-up of the properties. So ring may look like a bangle, may look like this, and food may look like poison may look for, all properties get mixed up. Therefore there is a controller, as though sugar is sweet. Sugar doesn't become salty. Right? So we have problem. So otherwise, so these properties of why sugar is sweet? We don't know why sugar is sweet. It is sweet. Thank God it is sweet. So we have to use the properties for our benefit. That's all. If you ask why it is so, because it's why salt has to be salty and sugar has to be sugary or sweety, we have no way of knowing. So that which controls this property for each one is Sektya Naiva Yadha Tadha. So that without this it cannot be. And if Maya Shakti doesn't control, or Ishvari, the Daivi Shakti doesn't control the properties, Anyonya Dharma Sankaryat Viplaveta Jagat Kalu. So this result, the Viplavam means chaotic situation will come in the world if goddess is not working. So she has to make sure each property belongs to that only. So if you change the structure, then the property also will change. That's how we determine the material using the properties only. That's how chemistry will determine. Say, what is this? By looking at all the properties, physical, chemical properties, say this is this, because this property belongs to that. If it belongs to many other things, then he cannot really evaluate what the material is. Therefore, Viplaveti. So it becomes a chaotic situation if Vastu Dharmas, the properties of each Dharma, is not maintained. This is the Ishvara Srushti. Whereas Vastu Dharma, I say, my property is not fixed. I can change my property from bad to good also. So there is a Jiva Srushti also has to be discussed, that we discuss in the next chapter also, in the next class also we're talking about. Chichaya Veshata Shaktihi. Chichaya Veshata Shaktihi. Did I cover everything? Yeah, 39, 40 now. Chichaya Veshata Shaktihi. Chichaya Veshata Shaktihi. Chetaneva Vibhati Sa. Chetaneva Vibhati Sa. Tat Shakti Upadhi Samyogat. Tat Shakta Upadhi Samyogat. Brahmaiveshwaratam Rajit. Brahmaiveshwaratam Rajit. Together. Chichaya Veshata Shakti. Chetaneva Vibhati Sa. Tat Shakta Upadhi Samyogat. Brahmaiveshwaratam Rajit. Sa Shakti, see that power, that's what is feminine form. So all gods have married. It's not that gods are having families and all that. It is God is having a power. So power is picturized as the Shakti. So Sa Shakti, that power, Chitta Chaya Veshataha. So in the Jiva, Chitta Chaya means it is the reflected consciousness expressing in the form of the Jiva. So how does Jiva operate? We know that the consciousness is all pervading. And whenever there is a mind, which is subtle body, it reflects the light of consciousness and it becomes conscious entity. Because it is not regular light, when it is reflecting, reflection makes it also a conscious entity. So it is borrowed consciousness from the total. Just as the moon is becoming a luminous entity by reflecting the sunlight. By itself it is not luminous, but borrowed light from sun, it is appearing as the luminous entity. Same way, we are looking, so many beings are there, they are all conscious entities, but only there is one conscious entity all over, but that consciousness which is all present all over is getting reflected by the subtle bodies. Wherever there is a subtle body is there, that's where it is reflected as Chidabhasa. That's called Chaya. You call it Chidabhasa. And it is becoming as though enlivened. So very presence and reflections make it, just as the moon is becoming so bright in the sky without having any brightness of its own, by borrowing the light from the sun, everyone is becoming conscious entities by just reflection of that consciousness itself. You can see the greatness of the total Shakti. So Chitchaya Aveshataha, so that the Chaya Aveshataha Chetana Eva Vibhati Saha. So that because of the reflection itself, this is becoming so dynamic, because after all this is carbohydrates, minerals and all that, but it is becoming active, so dynamic in the very presence of that, and that is just reflected consciousness only. And that is the Shakti, manifesting as Chetana. Chetana means as though conscious entity is here, Eva. Tat Shakta Upadhi Samyogat Brahmaiveshwaratam Rajetu. Tat Shakti, that power, Upadhi Samyogat, by joining the Upadhi as though in association with Upadhi, Brahma Eva Ishwaratam Rajet. Brahma alone attains the stature of Ishvara. So Ishvara is also a reflected consciousness of Brahman on the Maya. So wherever there is a Maya, then Ishvara is there as a reflected consciousness of the Brahman. So from the point of Brahman, there is no creation itself. If you ask Brahman, what are you doing all this? He says, I have nothing to do with it. All I am is pure existent consciousness without anything. At the same time, since I am seeing a creation, therefore I say I am a Jiva, and there is an Ishvara, and there is a Maya Shakti. All these things are all coming at the transactional level, at the Vyavaharika Satyam. Or a Paramarthika Satyam, there is no creation. From Brahman point, infinite cannot create anything. Only because I am seeing creation, all these explanations are provided for the Jiva who thinks he is created. So Jiva is Chidabhasa, a reflected consciousness. So what do I recognize now? I using the Chidabhasa, recognize that I am the reflected consciousness, and the consciousness that I am is coming from the total consciousness, and that's what really I am. So moon has to recognize I am not self-shining, the light is coming, and that light is from the sun. The same way I had to recognize. कोशोपाधिविवक्षायां याति ब्रह्मैव जीवतां पिता पितामहश्चैकः पुत्र पौत्रो यथा पतिः together कोशोपाधिविवक्षायां याति ब्रह्मैव जीवतां पिता पितामहश्चैकः पुत्र पौत्रो यथा पति. How is this possible? One appearing as many, one Brahman taking as the upadhi of the jiva is expressing as a jiva. The ignorance as a upadhi as a jiva, because ignorance is a cause of a problem, and taking the maya as upadhi as a Ishvara. How is that possible? Here he gives a simple example. Suppose a person is there, says he is a father, and he has a child. He has a great father also, may have great grandchild also. So same person, he is a father with respect to his son, and he is a son with respect to his father. So he is playing different roles depending upon what the role is. So it is the same person is called Pitamaha, he is father, and also called grandfather, and at the same time he is a son, and also he is a grandson also, depending upon with whom, what reference you are talking about. So same Brahman with reference to Jiva, this is individual, is a Jiva. With reference to totality, is Ishvara. One Brahman appearing as though this different. So varieties of people are there, Jivas are there, Jivas are many. There are human beings, and there are different types of life forms, and all life forms are jivas. Wherever there is a life, wherever there is a subtle body, there has to be an expression of the light, whether the subtle body expresses itself or not. So wherever there is a life itself, there the consciousness is getting reflected, and the role of that is depending upon what role it is playing in that situation. That itself is what is. Same thing appearing as many, same individual appearing in different roles, like Pita, Pitamaha, Putra, Pautra, Yatha Pratihi. In the same way, it is Koshadi Vivakshayam. So with reference to particular kosha means the Pancha koshas we are talking about. So Yati Brahmaiva Jivatam. So this Brahma Eva Jivatam. So Brahman alone is the real status of everything, and that understanding, Yati, understanding once you understand it, he becomes a Brahman. That's what he's going to tell later. But that understand has to be just a same person appearing as many, but individually what is he? So he is playing a role of different role, but what is he? He doesn't have any role by himself, right? So he is just he is. So that's what he's going to tell in the next sloka. Putradera vivakshayam, Putradera vivakshayam, Napita napitamaha, Napita napitamaha, Tadvannesho napi jivaha, Tadvannesho napi jivaha, Shakti kosha vivakshani, Shakti kosha vivakshani. Together, Putra dera vivakshayam, Napita napitamaha, Tadvannesho napi jivaha shakti kosha vivakshani. So putra adehi, so putra adehi, putra etc., son etc. So what we talk about, the son, grandson and grandchild and father, pita, pitamaha, papitamaha, all those terms that were referring to the same person with different, depending upon the reference state, and same way, so avavishayam, so with reference to particular reference, but napita, napitamaha, by himself is neither a father nor a grandfather. So that means who is he? He is as he is, individual, and he is I am. That's all he can say. I am a father is only with reference to relationship. So anything that you add with respect to I am is only with reference to relation for transactions. So all your biodata is I am, this that you add is only with the reference to for transaction. I am husband of so and so, wife of so and so, son of so and so, all my relations, all my, including I am this body. For transaction purposes, I had to use. Therefore, even the koshas also, even the I am the mind, I am the intellect, I am this, all that is with reference for transaction purposes. Okay, so I can use it for transactions, understanding by myself. I am not, none of this. I am pure. I am. And I cannot define anything, because any definition is related to a relationship only with reference to either the objects or other people. So putra dehi avivakshayam, all this without any reference, the putra, son, etc. is nothing. Na pita na pitamaha, neither father nor a grandfather. Tadvatu, in the same way, Shakti, the divine power, the Maya Shakti, kosa avitshane. So when referring to particular kosha is operating, Annamaya kosha is operating at Annamaya level, Pranamaya, Manomaya, all physiological functions and all are operating because of Maya Shakti only. And that is, with the reference to that, I am identifying with that, avivitshane. But when I am not referring to, with any reference, I cannot say I am this, I am this, I am this. And neither na ishaha, na jivaha api. Neither I am Ishvara, nor I am a jiva. Who am I? I am that I am. I cannot say anything, because anything I say to that is only qualification. So that becomes an understanding. So all this is not just for us to apply. When we are, for application means whenever we are using, there is no problem in using. As long as I am relating something, when I am transacting, I have to relate, because any transaction involves a relationship. So as a father I have to transact, as a mother I have to transact, as a friend I have to transact, as an employee I have to transact. These relations I have to play whatever the role that I am playing in the drama. I have to play that role properly also, dharmically. But by myself, who are you? I can say, no, you don't say I am and period. Who are you? Say you have to introduce yourself for transaction purposes. But yourself should know that I am Brahman. I am that conscious entity operating in these levels. So only Brahman. So when I go to a temple, don't say I am Ishvara there. People will kill you. So even though you understand that Ishvara, the Brahman, you are the same, but as a jiva, you have to follow whatever the protocol that has to be done also. Okay? So when you go to temple, you have to do your puja, you have to do all that. Even when I understand it, because there is a sloka, yad jadatarechi sreshtaha tattad devi tarojanaha, so pramanam kurute lokosta anuvartate. So even though I know it, but I can have to operate, because if I don't operate, other people say, hey, he is not doing, why should I do? So yajyat acharati sreshta, the father has to follow so that the children learn also, until they realize that what is the truth. Until then, you have to follow the rules. So we are almost coming to the last sloka of this chapter. 43. Ya evam brahma vedaisha Evam Brahma Vedaisha Brahmaiva Bhavati Swayam Brahmaiva Bhavati Swayam Brahmano Nasti Janmataha Brahmano Nasti Janmataha Punaresha na jayate Punaresha na jayate. Together. Ya evam Brahma Vedaisha Brahmaiva Bhavati Swayam Brahmano Nasti Janmataha Punaresha na jayate. So yaha evam Brahma Veda. So yaha eva Brahma Veda Esha Eshaha. So yaha evam Veda. In this way one has to recognize that I am Brahman, or one realizes the Brahman. Brahman Veda means one who knows Brahman. So knowing Brahman, how do you know? How do you know? Brahman is infinite, but Brahman cannot be known because it is not an object for me to know as this is Brahman. Because then this is because Brahman gets limited. Because this is Brahman and that's not Brahman. So Brahman cannot be known. So what is the realization is? Realization is I am that Brahman. I am subject also cannot be objectified. But I know I am. So you know, I know I am there. But yet, who is that I am? I cannot say. I am pure existent consciousness, I can say. In the same way, I am Satchidananda and Brahman is also Satchidananda. There cannot be two Satchidanandas. So, yaha evam Brahma Veda, yesha Brahmaiva bhavati, swayam Brahmaiva bhavati. The one who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. This is from the scriptural statement. So, the Brahmaiva Veda Brahmaiva bhavati. The one who is a knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. How can he become Brahman? You cannot become Brahman. Brahman is infinite. A finite cannot become Brahman. Finite cannot become infinite. That is mathematically illogical. So what does that becoming Brahman means? Means I am already infinite. Then I recognize, I realize now, I thought I am a finite, taking this body, mind, intellect as I am, and therefore operating all my life trying to solve this problem of limitation of the body, mind, intellect as my limitations and trying to solve a problem where there is not really a problem. And this solving a problem became a problem because I am taking a problem which is not really there, and therefore whole struggle life itself is the problem. But once I realize that after learning Vedanta, what does Vedanta say? It doesn't tell you anything. It says you are already that. Right? Tattvamasi, you are that. What is that? What you are looking for. You are that absolute happiness that you are longing for. And therefore, knower of Brahman becomes Brahman means I recognize now, I realize that I am Brahman. Okay, knower of physics doesn't become physics. Whereas knower of Brahman becomes a Brahman only because I recognize I am that Brahman. So it is not becoming infinite, it is recognizing that I am already infinite. So I was infinite before also. But I took myself, I am a finite, and struggled because of my misunderstanding. Now I realize that I am already that. So Brahmaiva bhavati swayam Brahmaiva bhavati. Himself becomes a Brahman. So that who is a jnani has understood that he is a Brahman. That's why we respect the teachers. That's why he is considered as Vishnu, Maheshwara and all that, right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara. He is Sakshat Brahman itself now expressing in the form of BMI now. Okay? Because we cannot see the Ishvara total, but we can see that he has understood at least. So this understanding is at the understanding level. At the transactional level, I still have to transact with the body, mind, intellect. As long as I am transacting with the body, mind, intellect, I still operate. I am this body, and I am not that body. At the body level, it's a gold ring can understand I am the gold, but still ring remains as a ring as long as it is in the ring shape. So transactionally, I should operate at the level. So it is essentially bhava advaitam, not kriya advaitam. Shankaracharya says it is bhavam, it's understanding only advaita. Whereas Kriya, in the activities itself, you have to operate as, husband is still husband, wife is still wife, your bank account is your bank account, my bank account is my bank account. There's no confusion in that. Just as electrons, protons, neutrons, everything is electron, protons, but still garbage is garbage and food is food. We have no confusion in that. In the same way, at the transactional level, there should not be any confusion. So mother is still mother, father is father, teacher is teacher. All the transactions have to go on. Veil, understanding wise, everything is nothing but me only. That should be understanding. So Brahmaiva Bhavati Swayam. So it's only Bhava Advaitam. Bhava means by understanding wise Advaita. But Kriya na Advaitam. By activities wise, don't follow Advaita there. You have to, because any action involves Dvaita only. Transactions. At the transaction level, Dvaita has to be done. So it is Advaita. The reason is it's not monoism. It is Advaita, means whatever I see is transactionally there is a polarity. Dvaita is there, but reality is not this, is not real. That's what Advaita means. Not this Dvaita is real, is not real. So Brahmanoha na asti janmataha. For the one who is become Brahman, there cannot be any more birth. There is no birth previous also. So what is reincarnation? Is there reincarnation? People are questioning, is there reincarnation? I never had incarnation to have a reincarnation. So I am na jayate mruyate va kadachit. That's how the Bhagavad Gita starts. There was never a time I was not there, never a time all these kings were there, not there. So that means never born. Na jayate, I am never born. So reincarnation is only taking a particular vesham from the costume. Wherever that I had to play a role, I had to play in this role because I have the desire and vasanas. Therefore, I am taking a birth in a particular to play that role itself. That has to be. So as long as I have vasanas, the birth will go on. But once I recognize that I am Brahman, what happens to my vasanas? First of all, vasanas will not be there. But even if you have that sanchita karma or the total account, he says, it doesn't belong to me anymore because I am akarta bhukta. I realized that I am never a doer. Not now. Even before also I was not doing it. I thought I was doing it and I was carrying unnecessarily the box sitting in the train. Right? Now I put it down and say, never I carry. I remove it completely. Therefore, all that sanchita karma, all that do not belong because there is addressee not found. So dead letter office, so it goes to whom? So there is no fellow who claims that one. It will go only to the people who are ready to criticize even that Mahatma. So that's why you have to be very careful. So when you say, Mahatma, don't go and criticize, oh, this Mahatma is doing that, this is not Mahatma, all that sin will go to you. Because you are able to see badness even in the great Mahatma also, that means you are having a problem. But if you see goodness in that, all the punyam will go to you also. So that's a statement where, that's why we respect all Mahatmas. We respect all the teachers. But we don't follow all the teachers. Then it won't be confusion. You follow your teacher, but we respect all the teachers. Okay, that should be the correct. So Brahmanaha nasti janmataha. There is no birth at all for him. Punareva na jayate. Therefore no birth. Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, jatare shayanam, yaha samsare, bahudustare. So that punarapi jananam, there is no more birth anymore for me because there is no more vasanas driving to take a birth itself. And therefore is liberated, even veil in the body, called Jivan Muktaha. So he is occupying the bodies. So why is he occupying the body? The prarabdha is still there. That which, because of which the body, mind, intellect has been born, that will continue until prarabdha goes away. That's one aspect of it. There is a samishti prarabdha that keeps the body, because people need a teacher, and people need a teacher who has understood that he is Brahman. So we need a teacher. If he leaves away, then we won't have anybody who has realized so that can teach us. Therefore, samashti vasana can pull him down until that teaching goes on, until he has taught enough so that they can teach further. That's what is essentially our tradition also. So therefore, that samashti vasana maintains. Samashti vasana also is the one cause for avatar also. What is avatara? Avatara is Lord doesn't have any prarabdha karma or sanchita karma for him to be born. No vasanas are there. But when there is a demand by other people, their demand is pulling him down. And that's what in the Bhagavata, all the people go to Lord Narayana, he is sleeping otherwise. All the time he wants to sleep, yoga nidra. So they go in a petition, please come down. Get up and come down and solve the problem, local problem. And therefore he has to take a body conducive to solve a problem. So if he has to take a birth in a human form, he has to take a birth in a human form. If he has to take a half lion, half man, he has to take that form to solve that problem. If he has to be born in a womb, he has to be born. Otherwise, he will be coming out of the wood also, right? So whatever the form that he is taking convenient to solve a problem, he comes. Once he solves the problem, he leaves. So Rama came to establish dharma. So he lived as a dharma. Even though he suffered as a consequence, says follow it. Krishna came to teach Bhagavad Gita. That is the main purpose of it. So he has to be like a god. Nobody will listen to a human being. He's a godly person. Therefore, he has to act like a god also. So that's what essentially is the no janma for that. So with this, we complete the third chapter, which is essentially Panchakosha Viveka. So essentially, Viveka is a discriminative intellect where we have to apply. So he started with, I am not the Annamaya Kosha, I am not the Pranamaya Kosha. Each one is negated, and that which cannot be negated anymore, that I am, because I am the conscious entity. So how do I recognize myself? So whenever I am having a problem or worry, remember, I am identifying with a kosha. Right? So anytime I have physical problem, oh, I'm having this pain, that pain, means I'm already identifying. Yes, body will have a problem. Problems will not go, because that is the nature of the problem. So prarabdha will be there. Prarabdha is nothing but results of previous actions. So results of previous action, who gives the results? Karma paladada, Lord gives you results. So I should have an attitude of prasada buddhi even for prarabdha. So whatever comes because of the prarabdha, all the pains that are coming is because of that. He is accepting as with the prasada buddhi, as a gift of the Lord. Some prasadam doesn't look tasty, right? So whenever things are not good, whenever rasamala has come, it's okay. That's also prasadam only. But things are also not necessary. If you eat too much of rasamala, you will have another problem. So that problem also will come. So whatever the problems in the situations that are coming, accept it, but act on it properly, dharmic way, because that is the beauty of life itself. So all these koshas are for us to analyze, and whenever we have continuously, any time from the morning on to this, any time we get involved in the kosha and forget that this is only equipment and I am using the equipment for this purpose, we get attached to it. So it is an attachment to the problem. That's what Arjuna's problem also. Because he is attached to the kosha, right, of Bhishma and all that. But in and through, if I understand what I am, then I can live beautifully the life, whatever that is, has become a prasadam. So prasadam is, we take it as a reverential attitude. So that should be understood. So with that, we complete the third chapter of Panchakosha. It is a viveka, differentiating what I am and what I am not, using the Panchakoshas, 5 sheets. So in the second chapter, talking about Panchabhuta Viveka, where we are discriminating the whole universe, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, all that is not me. And now I'm coming internally and discarding, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not even Ananda, even the happiness that I get is not me, but it's only a kosha only. I am pure nature of absolute existent consciousness that I am. So with that, I have to look at the world in the same way. So what should I do as a sadhana? Is also next chapter. Whenever I look at the world, I say we have to see the Ishvara there. Okay? But now as a Vedantin, I had to see myself there. my own consciousness living in that form. Body is different, mind is different, koshas are different. Has nothing to do with the kosha. But she's conscious entity. That consciousness is myself. So I had to recognize the presence of life anywhere there is a life. That's me expressing only. In the objects that are not there, or the objects that are not alive, I had to see as pure existence expressing in that form. So this becomes a sadhana now. Okay? Whether I should see as an Ishvara as a bhakti point, that's what we are learning in the next chapter, right? Where I invoke the presence of the Lord, but also now I have only two things, Atma, Anatma. No more Ishvara now. Atma, Anatma. So when the problems come, you don't have to run to the temple, oh Lord, please save me. Right? Because problems come because of the prarabdha. As Ishvara Prasad. Oh Lord, you are giving me okay. As long as you are with me, I am ready to take anything. That means automatically the problem has become insignificant by very visualization of problem as though it is not my problem. It is a problem for the body, my intellect, for this role. Roles will have a problem. No, everybody has a problem. But I won't have a problem. That has to be understood. Okay? So with that, we complete the chapter 3, and next week we will start chapter 4, which is essentially that we are also covering a little bit in the Gita class, where it is the analysis of Ishvara Srushti and a Jiva Srushti. And what's the difference between the two is being discussed in the Dvaita Viveka. So all Dvaita Viveka. So we will do Purnamada now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Let me end this.